Okay, guys, tonight we are joined by Tate Hieronymus. How are you, sir?
Good, good. Just having myself a beer on this beautiful Thursday night.
Nice, man. Welcome to Let's Get Freaky podcast, man. Excited to have you on. We was just talking literally just before we started recording. You've got a name in the Bigfoot community that's quite, should we say,
Infamous.
special, infamous. Yeah, that's a good word. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It's Hieronymus. I it's funny because I always get like, are you related to Bob Hieronymus? And Bob Hieronymus, for those who don't know, is the guy who claims that Roger paid him to wear the Bigfoot costume in the Patterson Gimlin film. But
interesting.
there's no relation, and it's spelled differently too. So
So he's not an uncle, or
no, no,
you
no
know.
uncle, no great grandfather, nothing like that. But it is a funny thing. Like a lot of people tease me. It's like, oh, like I'll be in like a live chat, like during a YouTube interview with some of my friends, and I'll be in the comments and like, oh, it's Bob's uncle or Bob's nephew or something stupid.
Do you know a lot of how did that come about? That guy is there any is he a big guy? I mean, is there any way that it could be?
So
I mean,
like, I don't think I really don't think it is a man in a costume. It's not. It's definitely not. And if it was, it's not Bob Hieronymus, because I think from what Bob Gimlin said and other people have said, Bob Hieronymus is not very tall. I think he's only like 5'11", something like that, maybe 6 foot.
okay,
I don't know for a fact, but
yeah,
um, no, I don't think it's Bob Hieronymus in the costume. I know
I
Bob,
don't
because Bob Hieronymus and Bob Gimlin were actually neighbors to this day, and they were neighbors back then. Um,
really.
yeah, so they did know each other, but Bob Hieronymus was never there in Bluff
Yeah,
Creek on October 20th, 1967.
that must be awkward, man. If they're next door neighbours and he's putting that out there that he's
Yeah, it's
yeah.
I think they just live like a couple blocks away from each other this day in Yakima. So
Wow,
that's pretty funny. How what a strange coincidence to still
yeah,
be living next to him after all these years. It's over 50 years.
yeah, man. I don't know about you, but I fully believe the Patterson Gimlin video. Like for me,
Oh,
that's enough evidence for me right there. That
oh no,
video.
the Patterson Gimlin film, I think it's definitely real. It's what got me. It's one of the things that got me into the whole Bigfoot subject. You know, I think for everybody, if you look at it, you look at the film, it's like the holy grail of Bigfoot to this day. I mean, it still hasn't been um, disproven,
Yeah,
real or fake to this at this point. And as far as like uh, old films like that have been scrutinized, it's been scrutinized as much as the JFK assassination video, the Zapruder film. It's been that scrutinized, and
yeah,
for that much scrutiny on one piece of footage, it still hasn't been proven fake or real. But
yeah, man.
there's more things leading toward it being real than fake. So
Yeah. You can see muscle definition. Um, they couldn't when that film was shot. That they didn't have the makeup to do that sort of thing. So for me,
mm,
it's always been real, man, and still believe it's real. I remember I had a Guinness Book of Records book when I was a kid, and it was the first time I'd ever seen pictures. It was just pictures of the Patterson Gimlin film, and I was just like, wow. Like showing my mum and dad, like, is that real? And they're like, yeah, that's real. And I'm like, wow, man. Like I just remember being
yeah,
blown away by it. And that's where I've always been fascinated by Sasquatch, Bigfoot. So yeah, man, that was for me, obviously, like for a lot of us, the
yeah,
first taste.
it really is. And if you think about it, like if you look at movies back in the '60s that came around that time, there was 2001: A Space Odyssey. I think Bill Munns has talked about this in like in a presentation or something, but he points out 2001: A Space Odyssey by Stanley Kubrick. There's an ape scene in there, and I think that won an award for the like a good ape costume. And then you got obviously the Planet of the Apes from like the '60s,
Yeah,
John Chambers. But you think of how much money they had to make those costumes, and it didn't come anywhere close to what you see in the
100%.
'60s Patterson Gibbon film. So
Yeah.
apples to oranges at that point. You know what I'm saying? And then how did two cowboys from Washington pull that off? I mean, the money would be pretty pretty expensive because this was interesting. I interviewed on my podcast. I interviewed Eduardo Sanchez, the guy who directed the movie, like co-directed Blair Witch Project and
Oh
the movie
wow.
Exist. And then I talked to him. I asked him, I was like, so like, what was the budget that you spent on the Bigfoot costume? And I think somewhere between 200 and $300,000.
Wow.
And that's in today's money, but think how much that money back then would be
Yeah.
to make a costume look really real.
Yeah.
It'd be ridiculous. But I mean, it's not. I don't think it would have been impossible because Roger's brother-in-law, Al Diatley, was pretty wealthy. Was a pretty wealthy person. But you know, again, when you have like Bill Munns looking at the film footage, and he's been in like costume making and stuff in Hollywood for a long time, and he's like, yeah, there's no way. And then you got like Meldrum looking at different things and all these different, you know, experts looking at the film and seeing these anatomical features in Patty. I think it holds a lot of water that she's not a costume, but she's the real deal.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if you know this. Did Patterson and Gimlin did they make any money from the video? Did they make a
I
lot of
think
money from it?
Patterson did. I don't know if he made like a lot of money, but he did make some money. And Al Diatley kind of forced Roger to force Bob Gimlin out of the picture of like any money made from it. So,
Oh
and like
wow.
they were doing like tours in different theaters and stuff, and they actually paid somebody to pretend to be Bob Gimlin dressed up as like an Indian or something like that. No, they paid somebody to be Bob Gimlin more or less
Interesting.
because and like, but and that was kind of more about that was more from Al Diatley kind of forcing Roger to do that because Al Diatley funded Roger for this film that he was making, which and he ended up getting a video of Patty, you know, the Bigfoot. So
Yeah.
yeah, like there's a whole rabbit hole of like the whole Patterson Gimlin film. Um, one of the best in depth things you could ever listen to when it comes to the Patterson Gimlin film is oh, what is this podcast? I'm forgetting the name.
Sasquatch Chronicles.
No, it's not. Oh, Astonishing Legends
Oh, okay.
podcast. They have like a 6-part Patterson Gimlin thing, and it's each episode's like a couple hours long, and they
Oh,
go into
check
like
that out.
everything about the cameras, you know, the players like Philip Morris, Al Diatley, Roger Patterson, just a whole. Like, if you really want to know about the Patterson Gimlin film, that's the way to go. If you're
Yeah.
not a reader, that is. If you just like to listen or whatever on a
Yeah.
drive.
Yeah. I'll definitely check that out for sure. Because it's interesting when you hear the backstory of it. I've heard a few things about it, obviously, and they were both like tough guys, like obviously to be where they were, and you know, on horseback and getting the footage that they got.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah,
interesting stuff, man.
because so I work with the Bluff Creek Project, and I came into that. I came into them a little bit later. I think I want to say like 2015, 16. That's when I kind of joined. But they're the ones that kind of rediscovered the Patterson Gimlin film site.
Oh wow.
Because I don't think a lot. It's funny. I don't think a lot of people know this unless you like I said, if you do research, if you're a nerd about the Patterson Gimlin film. In '64 there was a flood, and that's what gave Bluff Creek that sandbar that you see in the footage. It kind of wiped out everything, and
Okay.
where Bluff Creek drains into the Klamath today is not the original spot where Bluff Creek used to drain into the Klamath. It was actually further up the road, and so in '64 there was that flood, and then in '67 they got the film. But you know, over time, you know what happened? Like forest kind of takes over and starts to regrow and everything like that. Over time, the creek kind of erodes part of the original sandbar away, and then a bunch of trees are starting to grow. So it got very overgrown, and the Bluff Creek. I think there was like different ideas. I think Cliff Beckman had like ideas about it. Cliff and Bobo were pretty close to where it was before, like the Bluff Creek Project kind of confirmed that. And then like I think Kate Davis had an idea about where it was. Daniel Perez had ideas. So like everybody had different ideas of where the film site was on Bluff Creek. But yeah, the Bluff Creek Project, Rowdy, it was started by Steven Strufert, Ian Carton, and Robert Leiderman, and they kind of were the ones that kind of went down there and looked at it and found it. And then Rowdy Kelly, who's another guy from the project, he joined around the confirmation year when they found it and confirmed it. And so like all these different people, they looked at maps, they looked at different landmarks in the film. Then the stumps that are in the film are still there to this day.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's pretty crazy because I go there all the time, and then you're going there and you're like, this is insane. This happened here. And then luckily I've been able to camp on the sandbar where Patty walked, and that's pretty special.
Yeah, man.
It's super cool. And so I love going back there every year. I was just there this past summer, and we were down there just hanging out and just having good times. So
yeah, that's awesome, man.
Such a cool area to be in.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's definitely rugged for sure.
I've seen like new pictures of it, and it just looks completely different. As you said, there seems to be a lot more trees in that area. But yeah, you said about the stump. There's a stump there that's in the film that they found, pretty much exactly the same, isn't it, or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, over time it's weathered for sure and kind of deteriorated. But like all the stumps that you see in the film, like there's key stumps that are actually prominent in the film footage. All those stumps are still there. The very, very big Douglas fir tree that you see in the background behind Patty, that's still there. That's prominent at the film site. But like you said, it doesn't look the same. So you kind of, when you get there, you kind of have to look for it in a way. But like, as far as like where Patty's path is, it's actually fairly open in there for as overgrown as it is. And so it's not like terrible, but I mean, you kind of just have to look for it because there's a bunch of trees growing around. So it's like, where's the stump? Oh, there it is. But it's pretty cool. And it's kind of funny. I don't know, like, it depends on the person, maybe. But like, you have this idea of going to the film site your first time, and then you get there and you're like, this is not what I expected. I mean, I think when I went there, I was expecting it to be a little more open and everything, but but it's still cool nonetheless.
Yeah, man, for sure. And just to think that you're standing on a spot where that amazing creature walked across, that is a cool.
Yeah, it's so cool.
I'd love to go there one day, man.
Phil, hit me up if you ever want. Hit me up if you
Yeah,
want to go.
I'd love to, man. So where are you based? Are you in Kansas City? Was that just your team?
No, I am from Kansas City, Missouri originally. Yeah, that's
Okay.
it's my team. Currently, I live in Florida,
Okay.
but I'm going to be moving back to the Midwest sometime next year. So I'm going to be back in my home region.
Yeah, man.
So looking forward to that. So yeah, Missouri is cool. I'm from Kansas City originally. Kind of grew up there, and then I actually ended up moving to Des Moines, Iowa. Lived there for a few years. Then moved to Ensenada, Mexico, on the Baja Peninsula.
Oh,
Lived
wow.
there for 3 years, and then moved to California, and that's kind of when my Bigfooting career took off, and like I started going heavily out in the woods. And because before California, I was like one of those armchair researchers. I was also maybe 19, 20, and so getting older, learning as much as I could. I mean, I moved to Mexico and Finding Bigfoot came on it because I moved to Mexico in 2011, and then Finding Bigfoot came on that year.
Yeah.
And so I watched that religiously every episode. I own every episode. It's such a good show.
Yeah, man, love that show.
But yeah, and it's so cool. So when I moved to California, I lived in Ventura, which is from where Bluff Creek is, like 12 hours. It's a 12-hour drive. And so I went twice a year. And that's how I ended up joining the Bluff Creek Project, because I just ran into those guys and got to know them and everything. And we all hit it off. And a lot of those guys are friends with Cliff and Bobo before they were like on the show and Moneymaker. And then my very second time to Bluff Creek, I ended up running into Cliff and Bobo. I just happened to be there. And, and I was kind of like, you know what, this is super cool, but I don't want to be that guy that's going to like fan out over them. So I just like
Yeah.
I just let them be, and me and my buddy who was with me at the time, we just did our own thing, and they ended up inviting us over to hang out with them and have beers and stuff, and so we got to talk. And, eventually got to know Cliff and Bobo better, and
It's
now we're friends to
awesome.
this. Now we're friends to this day. And another face that was there was a guy named Tom Yamarone. He does like the Roger and Bob Rode Out That Day song from Bobcat Goldthwait's Willow Creek movie. He was in that stuff. So he's a cool guy. And another guy, Terry Smith, was there. So another cool
That's
gentleman.
cool,
So
man. That's cool. I mean, I listen to Bigfoot and Beyond quite a lot. That's one of my podcasts that I go to. I love that show, man.
no, that show is good. So good.
Yeah, yeah. And it's what Cliff Breckman says quite a lot is that in this field you can meet your heroes and you can meet and it's so true. Like you do meet people.
You can become friends with them too,
Yeah,
which is
yeah, yeah.
it's
It's
why
so
it's
cool.
so it is so true. Because if you think of like, okay, like sure, in the grand scheme of things, Cliff and Bobo or even Moneymaker, they're not quote unquote uh you like a celebrity,
Yeah,
because like I think Cliff was talking about on the Bigfoot and Beyond podcast, him and Bobo, like they can at least go to a grocery store and not get recognized, um but in the Bigfoot community you have these different celebrities. And like I know Cliff does not like the term celebrity, but at the end of the day, in the Bigfoot world, that's what he's a Bigfoot celebrity.
yeah,
Like so
man.
is Jeff, so is Meldrum and all these other people. But yeah, like you can really get to know these people, and they become not just somebody you see on TV, but like a friend, and then somebody you can trust and get good ideas from. And
Yeah,
so it's a cool thing. And it's Bigfoot is the Bigfoot community is the only community you can actually make friends with a celebrity.
yeah, man. Yeah,
It's so weird.
it's awesome. Yeah. Well, I get more excited. I'd get more excited about seeing Cliff and Bobo than some NFL players. Like, to me, they're the best. You know what I mean? So I would
I
be
don't
very excited to see them.
I don't know if I saw Cliff or Bobo on the street and I saw Patrick Mahomes, I'd probably run
Uh,
past Cliff.
yeah, Mahomes is a bit different. Yeah, he's pretty good. That's for sure.
Sorry, sorry,
Mahomes and
Cliff.
Kelsey. Yeah, yeah.
Dude,
Pass on in that situation.
yeah. Oh, 100%.
So where did it? I know you said you moved to California, and that sort of perked your interest up. What was the start of it all for you?
Yeah, it was definitely the Bigfoot, like the Patterson Gimlin film was the start of it. And then before finding Bigfoot, obviously was Monster Quest, and
Yeah,
that was a huge thing that I think, because like nowadays, with television, there's a lot of fake, things are being faked on TV and stuff. And um, but with Monster Quest, it was actually like really, nothing was staged on it, nothing was fake, and it was like it was cool because it focused on the researchers doing specific type of research. It wasn't like there wasn't like a cast and crew, or there wasn't like a cast of people that were like the center of attention for the show, like you have in Finding Bigfoot.
yeah,
Like so, that's what I liked about the aspect of Monster Quest, and it focused on different places. It was cool because it was like it had everything. It wasn't just Bigfoot, and I like Mothman was on there, the Jersey Devil, all these different things, Loch Ness, Champ.
yeah.
Um, so this was pretty cool. They really covered everything, and they did it really nice. And you know, I would love to see it come back someday. That'd be kind of like really cool. Who knows if that
Yeah,
would ever
man.
happen? But so yeah, Monster Quest and the Patterson Gimlin film were a couple of the big things for me that really got kicked it off. And like I said, it wasn't until I moved to California that I was like, okay, I can actually start going into some real forests. So I started going up to Bluff Creek twice a year, July and October every year. So it was so much fun, and I got to see some cool things, experience some cool stuff. I had some weird stuff happen, and then
Interesting.
just That it's what keeps me going back out of all the weird things.
Yeah, man. I'd love to get into some of the experiences you were having out there, man. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, like so it's like my very first time there to Bluff Creek. It was my dad, myself, and two other friends. And like I said, I think from Ventura, where I lived in California, to Bluff Creek, it's like 12-hour drive. And it was my first time there, so I didn't know what road to take and everything. So we were really going slow at it, and it's like dark already. And we get there, and I think it's like 12 o'clock at night. We're getting set up and everything, and for people who like, because like I grow more comfortable. Like for me personally, I'm a little timid in the dark, but the more times I go out, the more comfortable you get with it. So being my first time to Bluff Creek, never being in like an actual forest like that, and you got Bigfoot on the brain, right? So maybe I was hearing whoops, maybe I wasn't. So and then later that night, we're like kind of in our tent sleeping, and then I see a shadow figure come up from where the creek is. It comes up like this and turns like that, turns back and goes the same way where it came from. And I did have like my phone recording audio through the night. I did hear something walking around when I listened through it, and I heard maybe like a faint whoop and knock, but it's really, really faint. You'd have to really listen to it with good headphones to kind of hear it. So that was my first time.
Wow, man. That's
And
a cool
then,
to go there for your first time and to get that experience.
yeah,
That's cool. The
it's
shadow figure,
scary.
yeah, I bet, man. The
It's
shadow
it's
figure that you saw, how big was that?
oh man, I couldn't really tell you. Because we were in like a 6-person tent. I don't know why we had such a big tent for 3 people, but um, I think the tent itself is maybe what 8 feet tall. And this thing, I mean, obviously I couldn't really see; it was just a shadow, so the shadow looked like 12 feet tall. But in reality, it probably could have been like maybe 8 feet, 9 feet, because maybe the shadow could have cast it to look bigger and stuff.
Yeah,
But who knows?
that's cool, man.
But and then that was just one experience in Bluff Creek, and
Was
another
you
experience that I had. Oh, go ahead.
sorry, was you just sitting up having a drink, or was you laying down when you saw that, or how what position was you in when that happened?
I was laying down actually. My dad was asleep, my buddy was asleep, and then my buddy in his other tent was asleep. And I was like the only one awake because I was like freaked out, so I
Yeah,
couldn't sleep.
that would be
So
me.
just like
But
I was just looking around and I see a shadow. I'm like, oh, crap.
wow,
Um, is it Bigfoot? I really don't know. It was odd because shadows don't come the same way where they go the same way where they came from. They don't go back.
yeah.
Um, so
And
that was odd.
you saw this thing turn and look towards
Yeah,
you.
it was like it was really skinny in profile. Then it got really wide. It
Wow,
went really skinny again and went back the same way where it came from.
wow, man.
I was like, shadows don't do that. Like
No,
if it's like because obviously like we're spinning like on the Earth is on like an axis and it's spinning. So at night it's the was it the moon? The moon doesn't rotate around the Earth. Yeah, it does. So like the shadows of the trees would kind of continually go one direction.
yeah,
The thing went the same direction. It didn't change. It wasn't like a continuous thing.
yeah.
So that was pretty weird.
That's cool,
And
man.
so that was like one of them. I had some other things that happened in Bluff Creek, but the most the most craziest stuff that I've ever had happen in Bluff Creek was 2021. Um, it was Alex and Eli. They were doing Beyond the Trail for Small Town Monsters. It was their third Beyond the Trail episode that they did, and I think I reached out to them or something like that. And I was like, hey, I go to Bluff Creek every year. I got some other good friends that I met there that are going to be going. And so um, I drove from Des Moines, Iowa out to California and I met up with Alex and Eli in Santa Barbara. And from there, we drove up the coast to to the Redwood, like the Evan Giants and everything. And we got to Bluff Creek. So we ended up, when we got to Willow, actually, sorry, so we drove up to Eureka, and I called Bobo because I was going to meet with him because I was going to
Oh, that's so cool. You
for
called
myself.
Bobo. You called
Yeah.
Bobo. That is so cool, man.
So I called him and we met him in Eureka, and he's like, oh my, somebody I know had a sighting on this property in Willow Creek, and so we followed Bobo to this property in Willow Creek, and I interviewed him for my thing, and then Alex and Eli interviewed him for theirs, and we met the homeowner on this property, and we talked about what might have happened there. So it's interesting stuff. So that was kind of like the way we kicked off our Bluff Creek trip, was meeting up with Bobo, and then Alex and Eli and I we we ended up driving down the road, and we're we're getting close to Louse Camp, which is in the Bluff Creek area. It's a famous camp there. It's actually where like Tom Slick held the Pacific Northwest expedition in 56 and 57, 58, that area, that kind of time. And we're not terribly far from where Jerry Crew casted the first tracks that coined the name Bigfoot. And so where we were at, I was driving my car, and there's this rock slide. And so my car could make it, but Eli and Alex were in Eli's Toyota Corolla, and it was kind of sat lower to the ground. And some of these rocks are really sharp. So we were getting out, throwing rocks down into the creek below us. And we're kind of doing that. And Alex goes, "Hey, do you guys hear that?" And Eli and I are like, "We didn't hear anything." And so Eli picks up another rock and throws it. And all of a sudden, Alex is like, "Yo, get out of the way." And all these rocks from above us, from this old road, where there's an old road coming down at us. And so Alex books it one way. Eli and I take cover behind my car. And we're looking up. And as we're looking up, something below us starts walking away in the creek, because we could hear creek water. We could hear the creek going, but we hear something walking in the creek. So it felt really weird. The way I describe it is, it felt very coordinated. Was it Bigfoot? I don't know, but it's just because like that whole trip, I'm pretty comfortable in saying it might have been Sasquatch related, that the thing that happened to us, because we're probably terrorizing something down below us, and then something above us is trying to scare us to stop or do something, and it seemed to work.
Yeah, man.
Because later on in the trip, we were in Laird Meadow. That's another famous spot in the Bluff Creek area. And we had some people walking the road. They were hearing knocks. And then we had a couple people in the meadow. We were hearing knocks. And Alex and I had something thrown at us through the tree line. And it's so crazy. But I mean, like, you could hear all this in the Beyond the Trail, Bigfoot at Bluff Creek episode. Like, all that, what I just described, is in that episode. It's such a good episode, and it's the best activity I've ever had in Bluff Creek so far. So that was really cool.
What was thrown at you? Was it a stone thrown at you?
I don't know. I don't think so. Like, it sounded more like a branch, like a big branch that was like chucked at us, but it didn't hit us or anything.
That's something you hear a lot with Sasquatch activity, or possible Sasquatch activities, where they know their environment so well, so they can sort of move you out by scaring you. And that's something you hear a lot, isn't it? Like things getting thrown, hearing wood knocks and things to make you move on.
Well, surprisingly, it didn't work, because we still stayed.
Yeah.
So it was because it was weird, because we had the thing thrown at us, and then maybe 10, 20 minutes later, we heard a knock from the same direction that thing was thrown at us. So I'm guessing it was the same creature that just moved on. We're thinking there might have been like 3 other ones that night, because we were hearing knocks in our direction. The road, another group in the middle was hearing knocks too, from different directions. And so we're hearing different things. And so it's just like, man, it's either we're hearing things that's not there, or they're actually here right now and they're messing with us. And so, it's pretty crazy. That was definitely some of the best stuff I've ever had happen. Then I got 2 more. I got 2 more that were pretty cool. I was with my buddy. 2 more things that stand out to me the most as far as experiences I've had. I was with my buddy Jeremiah Byron from the Bigfoot Society. We were in Iowa. And we were there. We were at the spot for 2 nights. The first night we didn't get anything happen, and this is Jeremiah's first time in the field. And so the second night, well, the first night was really, really hot, and we had nothing happen. It was just kind of quiet. Second night was a lot cooler, and we had a tree either fall over or pushed over, and we had knocks. And then we had later we went to bed, and then Jeremiah set his audio recorder out, and so it's like Jeremiah had his car or his tent on one end of camp, my truck in between his tent and where his audio recorder is, and from my truck to his audio recorder was maybe 20 yards or something like that, so it's pretty far away. And he tells me, dude, I got a zipper sound, like something unzipping a zipper type of deal. And I've heard this from Alex Petikoff, I think Chris Spencer and other people. Bigfoots have been known to like imitate that zipper sound. And it's been captured before on different audio recordings. And people also report like the car door slams. I know people that report that too. So there's he got that, and he got knocks on there too. So I was like, dude, we freaking had stuff that night. So,
wow, man.
It was pretty cool.
Either that or it was actually trying to unzip which is even a scarier fault. Could that be possible?
I mean, yes, but no, because the audio recorder was so far away from where Jeremiah's tent was. I was sleeping in my truck.
Yeah.
But Jeremiah was in his tent, and at no point did he get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. And I'm thinking, like, if your recorder is way over there with stuff in between, there is no way your audio recorder picked up a zipper on your tent, even if it was you or a raccoon trying to get in or anything.
Yeah.
There's no way. It was too far away.
Because a lot of people say about the car door sound here in the middle of the forest where there's no roads or cars.
Yeah. I haven't heard that personally, but I know people who have, and it's weird. And then the other thing that I had happened to me, a buddy was with me. I ended up filming a possible Bigfoot on a thermal imager from about 300 feet away. I made a documentary about that for my YouTube series. Then a good buddy of mine, Jonathan Easley from Western Bigfoot Exploration, he made like a 22-minute documentary on it about what he thinks it is. And so this happened in Southern California, about a couple hours from where I lived, because I wanted to go to like a place closer to me. And so I ended up recording this thing on thermal imager. And at the time, it was my first time using this thermal imager. And so I didn't know how, I couldn't see this thing through this scope that I'm looking at through. And we thought it was maybe 50 feet away because we were seeing eye shine. We had headlamps on. And we're like, dude, this has got to be 50 feet away. And so I actually start recording, still can't see the thing. I flip through the filter, still can't see it. So I'm kind of relying on him as I'm filming that. And he's like, dude, it's gone. And so the next day when I got back home, actually the next day we went to look around the area, and we kind of determined it was more than 50. It was about 300 feet away. And so that's why I couldn't really see it, because I was using a FLIR Scout TK, and it's about 300 feet or 100 yards is the max range on that thing. But I guarantee if I had like a really nice therm, I would have seen a lot more detail. But it was pretty interesting because when I got home, I looked on the big computer screen. I was like, holy crap, dude, this thing, it was there. Wow. And when my friend said, dude, it's gone, that's when I stopped recording. I actually put the camera down. That's when the thing stands up. And so you see it stand up at the end of the video, and then I pan away. It's like, oh. So yeah, and I'll probably never get that chance again. And so, you know, like, just people listening to this for next, like, if you're ever in this situation and your friend's seeing eye shine or whatever he's seeing, don't rely on his judgment. Just keep filming as long as you can. Yeah. You know, and like that was like, I was fairly new to being in the field and my first time using a therm. So it's like, you know, rookie mistake. I should have kept filming the thing and just not listen.
You're living another
rookie. Oh yeah. And another rookie mistake is we had the camp set up and it freaked us out so much we actually left camp and went somewhere else. And you know, looking back, I wish I would have stayed. I wish I would have kept filming. There's so many things I wish I could have done differently, but You
But a
know,
cool,
it is
cool
what it is.
experience. Yeah, it's a cool experience,
Yeah.
man. So this thing was sitting there, and you've called it on the thermal. You didn't know until you'd looked back at the footage, and then you saw it.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
man. Wow.
It was,
And
it was definitely there. Yeah.
yeah, and obviously you're putting the camera down, you're seeing it get up. Do you know? I know this might be really hard, but do you know roughly how big it could have been? I know that's probably an impossible question.
There was like a little sapling tree over there. If I had to guess, maybe 6 feet.
Interesting.
I don't think it was a tall one. I don't think it was a big one. I
Yeah.
think it was a younger one because like the thing was, we got there and we set up camp and we're like drinking beers and stuff, hanging out, and it wasn't really that late. It was like 9 o'clock at night, 9:15, 9:20, and we literally like from where our car is parked, we just hiked this ridge for maybe 5 minutes, and I was like, "Hey, there's a tree. Let's do a knock." So I did a knock, and it was like the flattest dead knock ever. It didn't carry at all the sound. So we're on this ridge. So I do a call one way, I do a call another way, and we're talking. That's when I hear the response back to my call. It's like, dude, I heard something. And we kind of backtracked the trail to this little overlooking both sides of the ridge. And we're kind of looking around. That's when we see the eye shine, and there's like lights way off in the distance. So we're kind of like doing the sway back and forth thing to see. And there was something there. That's what we thought was a 50 feet away because the eye shine was so big. And because we were seeing eye shine, we had our headlamps on. That's the reason we were seeing the eye shine. And there were hunters all day there. I lost count of how many deer I saw that day. And so from different animals that I know of, it wasn't deer behavior. It wasn't mountain lion behavior. It definitely wasn't an owl because from 300 feet away on the FLIR that I was using, an owl would not be picked up. And this thing stood straight up.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the last time seeing a 6 foot tall owl in
No,
the woods.
and that would be just as worrying.
Yeah, that would be just as worrying. And it was definitely not a person pranking us. For one, people's eyes don't shine. And then why would you prank other people that might potentially have guns and take a shot
Exactly. That's the thing.
So
you're taking a big risk if you're going out there trying to imitate one of these things.
Exactly. And it wasn't a bear either because I guess like, bears' eyesight, they have very poor eyesight. I think 30 yards is what they can see. But beyond that, they rely heavily on their sense of smell. And the reason I don't think it's like deer behavior or mountain lion behavior or even bear behavior is because like in the beginning of the footage, you can barely see it, but there is like this little bump, like a little basketball size on the ridge. And it's just there for about a good portion of the video. And at the end is when it stands up. And I was like, that doesn't seem natural. So I think when we went back in the day, we looked and there was like a really steep slope that was walkable for some animal, but not a person at night. And it had a really good getaway to get down that area. And so I think it was a juvenile because when we were walking up the ridge, we had headlamps on and everything. We were talking. So this thing made us before we made it. And this thing like just stood, I think it was just frozen or scared that I don't think it knew if we saw it or not. It definitely didn't know we were recording because it's not going to see me filming with the thermal because we have light shining at its face.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it was thinking, but I feel like it was a little bold, kind of a juvenile Sasquatch. I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do this. And then ended up getting seen by us.
Yeah.
So, but we didn't see
cool.
any detail at night to see like hair or anything. We just saw eyes, and I saw something on the therm later the next day when I looked at the footage. So it was very interesting stuff.
That is interesting, man. Super cool. How often are you getting out and researching?
I mean, the spot here in Florida, it's I try to go when I can, but like it's so far away to get to the spot. And like Florida's always hot and I get bit by mosquitoes so much. So I try to go cooler times of the year.
Yeah.
And
Everything's
so,
dangerous in Florida, isn't it?
Yeah. And like, well, I work every day doing pressure cleaning. And so like, when I'm not tired, I try and go out, but I haven't gone out as much as I would like to when I used to live in California. Cause like in California, I'd go like after work and all the time, but not as much as I would like, probably a couple times a month.
Okay. Yeah, it's still a lot, man. It's still cool. Have you had any
Yeah.
experiences in Florida? Have you managed to get any activity there?
Um, it was only when I was with Alex and Eli doing more Beyond the Trail. We did like a bunch of stops in Florida, and then we did one in Georgia. Georgia was the worst. It had nothing happen. It rained on us constantly. But in South, there was two places. One where near I live, where I go. Me and Eli and Alex were walking down this like fire access road, and it's like gated off. And the road that took us to this fire access road, it's one road into this place, and we drove it because we had camp set up down the road. Um, and it's one road in, one road out. It's just a long, I think it's like 12, 13, 14 miles of just dirt road, straight dirt road. And so you could see a car at night forever and ever, but we didn't see anybody. And this is like in the Florida Everglades. There's some walkable paths, but a lot of it's kind of swampy around there. And so we do this, we're kind of walking down this trail. We stop. I do a knock. And then maybe 5 minutes later, I hear a knock that sounded just like mine respond back. It was a little fainter, but the three of us heard it and we're like, that was definitely a knock. And we're pretty confident that was nobody, no person. We had possible Bigfoot activity there. And then another time in Stacy Brown Jr.'s area up in northern Florida, it was me, Alex, Eli, Stacy Brown, RPG from like Expedition Bigfoot, Finding Bigfoot, James Brost, and a couple other people. So Stacy, Alex, and Eli, we like kind of had them walk up the road with lights on and kind of talking to each other, and they were going to meet up some people further down the road. And then RPG and James Brost and we walked 5 minutes behind them with lights out. And we probably 5 minutes from the car, and then off to our left, we heard like a clear baseball knock sound. Stopped us in our tracks. It was the loudest, clearest knock I've ever heard. We're like, dude, what the heck? And so we kind of listened, nothing. And then we decided to keep walking. And then off to our right, another clear knock that sounded identical to the first one. Pop. Stopped us again in our tracks. And we're like, dude, they're freaking here, man. There's two of them, and they're communicating with each other. Because they were unsolicited knocks. We didn't do anything to try and get a response. And so we meet up with Alex and Eli and Stacy. We told them like, yeah, dude, we got some of these knocks. And so RPG, James Bruce and I, we ended up walking back first with lights on, and we got to the cars. And as we're waiting on Alex and Eli and Stacy to walk back with no lights, we're kind of hanging around there. And James Brost and I are talking behind a car. I was recording audio just in case we got knocks. And we're just talking, no light, it's just kind of pitch black, cold night. And we see this bright blue light kind of weaving in and out of the trees. And you can hear the audio. James and I are like, whoa, did you see that? We're like, yeah, dude. It was so weird. It wasn't a firefly. It was a freaking orb. And I've never seen an orb before. But I was like, my eyes did not deceive me. And there was somebody else that saw it. Yeah. And the audio does not lie.
Wow, man.
It was weird. So
yeah, that is another thing you hear associated with a Sasquatch quite a lot. It is the orbs as well. There seems to be. Is there something connected? I don't know, but
yeah, it's like I don't know. Me personally, I'm the flesh and blood kind of camp.
Yeah, so I was just going to ask you that. Are you woo or flesh and blood or in the middle? I would say I'm in the middle.
You're kind of in the middle. Yeah, I'm definitely more on the flesh and blood. I mean, the orb thing, I can't explain why there's some Bigfoot activity where there was orbs. I don't know. Maybe it's like a natural geological thing that has to do with orbs. There was something about that. I was hearing a podcast, and Cliff was saying Moneymaker was talking about like this thing about like how I don't even know what it was. It's like have to do with like the magnetic plates in the earth and something like maybe it's stronger in certain areas and it kind of produces these like sparks or balls of light for some weird reason, like these balls of energy
Yeah.
that are not supernatural. I think it could be just maybe a natural phenomenon, but
Yeah.
either way, I saw a freaking ball of light in the forest.
Yeah, man. Interesting.
Pretty odd.
Interesting. Yeah. So you're on the flesh and blood camp. You believe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. I mean, I really haven't had anything else that changed my mind from that. I've never had a mind speak thing or anything like that. Just straight up knocks, whoops.
Yeah.
And just that's about it, really.
What do you think of the woo side of Sasquatch? Do you think it could just be like other stuff that's going on in that area? It might not be connected to Sasquatch all the time. Like you see an orb, it might
Right.
not be anything to do with Bigfoot. But what's your thoughts on that?
I think I don't know. I don't know if there. I don't know what there is to it really. I mean, to be honest with you, we don't even know what Bigfoot is because we don't even they're not proven real. So they could be anything at this point. I mean, they could be flesh and blood. They could be in the paranormal, but who knows? You know, I think until we have one captured or a dead one to examine, we'll know for sure. But I mean, the Bigfoot community is weird with all the different side. You got like the flesh and blood. You got like people who are kind of in between. Then you got just like the the kind of woo people. I can't really speak for a lot of the woo stuff because I
Yeah.
haven't really looked into it too much. But I know people who are kind of more welcoming to it. They're not full. They're not full woo, but they're like they're
There's a possibility that
yeah, they're willing to kind of give it a shot and look into it to see if there's anything with it.
yeah.
Because
But
I mean, they're so weird, man. You just don't know. It's like maybe there is something to this. Maybe there's
yeah.
something.
I talked to Justin from Cryptids of the Corn. He came on the show recently, and obviously he's got a science background, and he was saying that some of these the woo aspects that there could be a scientific explanation that we just don't know yet. There could be
Yeah,
something like that. So we don't know, but interesting,
yeah.
man.
Who knows? Like maybe they are interdimensional, but I think they're just I think they're pretty intelligent. I think maybe that's what it is. Maybe they are in areas that happen to have weird things because you always group people always seemed like you said we kind of group them together with UFOs and different things like that and orbs. Is it connected? I don't know. I haven't had enough weird stuff like that happen at the same time when I've been in Bigfoot hotspots.
Yeah.
But I can't really say for sure. As far as I know, me personally, I think it's just flesh and blood, and yeah, I don't think they're really connected personally until
You
I have
think
more evidence.
it's possible that there could be different types, that some maybe could be more of a supernatural, some just flesh and blood, natural animal. I don't know. I'm just
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if that was the case, I mean, it would be kind of weird because then you would have flesh and blood that are completely flesh and blood. Then you would have spiritual ones, which I don't know, it could be possible. Who
yeah.
knows? I know like a lot of it is Native American folklore that like where this stuff comes from. So like like a lot of the Native Americans have different beliefs on what these things are and all that. I
Yeah.
think maybe that's a lot of the things where things kind of got started from. So who knows?
Yeah, man. I hope we find out one day.
We have to. We have to.
So have you found tracks and stuff like that, and do you do castings and stuff?
I do castings. I haven't. I've done like different animal castings, but I haven't done any Bigfoot ones. Found like a couple possible. I found a possible track in Southern California, and then 2022 we found some possible tracks. I didn't cast them, but a friend of mine who was with us he went back and casted them, and they looked suspicious. They looked like giant human footprints. So when in doubt, cast it out, right? So, but
100%. Yeah.
I didn't have any plaster with me, so I couldn't do it. So,
Ah, man.
but,
That's what
but look,
Cliff always says on Bigfoot and Beyond. Always have it on you, man.
Yeah. I mean, now I carry it with me because I think it's I don't know. I just want to make sure I have it with me in case I find that one pristine track to cast. It's like, dude, I'm not going to pass up this opportunity because I can't remember. I was talking with my buddy Jonathan and Ron, and we're like, dude, you got to be an idiot to pass up a pristine track. You know, like you got to be really dumb to do that.
There's so many of these are found all over the US, aren't they?
Oh
I
yeah,
find it so interesting, man.
it, I think that's the biggest thing to help prove these things are real is the footprints. Um, because like I said, going back to like Meldrum, you know, he's a studying anthropology and stuff like that. He's able to pick out the natural things in foot morphology, if you will, to kind of see if it's a fake or living creature that made these things.
Yeah.
And when you have not just one or two or three, but like hundreds of tracks from all over the United States, and they're showing different features of the way the foot interacts with the ground and all that. That's pretty. I think that's pretty substantial evidence to support the existence of the creature called Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And that's the other. That's the other thing because like people ask me like, what's your opinion on like Dogman or, you know, Jersey Devil or stuff like that? And it's like, I think they're really cool and fun, but I don't know if there's really much to. I don't think they're real other than just what people say they had experience. Because if they were as prevalent as the reports people were reporting them, we would have physical evidence from them like we do from Bigfoot.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think there's any Dogman tracks, castings, or anything like that. No Jersey Devil handprints or anything. But with Bigfoot, you got handprints, you got audio, you got Harry, you got footprints, you got video. A lot of the videos are fake, but you know, look hard enough. There's definitely real ones. Yeah, for sure. So
it's like you mentioned, you was with Stacey Brown. That he's got the famous Florida footage with the arm reaches out, which is incredible. An incredible capture.
I think that footage is legit.
Yeah, man.
100%.
Yeah, because it's big and the arm's big, and that's an amazing.
Yeah, it's such a cool piece of footage, man. It's like I think as far as like regular film footage or a video, daylight video goes, it's the Patterson Gimlin film for me.
Yeah.
And then as far as like thermal video, it has to be the Stacey Brown footage for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that arm is just, that's not human, man.
No, you see the whole creature. And then when you see like the Finding Bigfoot recreation that Bobo did of it, Bobo looks like, Renee is like, oh, he looks like a gummy bear.
Yeah. Because Bobo's a big guy, isn't he? He's
like, I think he's like 6'2".
Yeah. So he's a big guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he ain't tiny.
No, man.
But no, it definitely wasn't Stacey or his father that was in the footage, because definitely Stacey's like 5'8", 5'9". Oh, he has to be 5'8". He's not very tall because I'm 5'11", and I tower over Stacey.
Yeah.
So there's no way it's Stacey, and I think Stacey Brown's dad was about his height too. Okay. So there's no way. There's no way it was him unless they knew like some freakishly tall person. But then you got the question, it's like, well, if it was a person in a costume, you would see kind of weird patterns because like the way the thermal imager works, it would kind of register differently in different parts of the body if it was a suit.
Yeah.
And so
yeah, for me, man, that is a great capture. Yeah, for sure. I saw a video as well. Again, it's hard with these videos because it's getting so. I watch Bigfoot videos all the time, and I want to believe they're all real. I can't help it. Like for me, I'm like, yeah. There's a video from, I believe it's Russia, and I don't know, you've probably seen it. It's a giant ape-like creature running through the forest at really high speeds, but as you slow it down, the arms are so long, like very similar to what we was just talking about, how long the arms. Are
in like Stacey's footage,
yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one. I know there was like that one that came out recently of the Colorado train footage, which which people were like, "Oh, this is real." Like, I know there's a. How do you feel with name dropping?
Yeah, do it,
I
man.
don't, I don't know. I won't name drop him just in case, but there was somebody, a prominent name in the Bigfoot community,
Yeah.
that was really like fighting for the credibility of this footage, even after it's kind of been proven fake.
Okay.
I'm like,
I,
dude,
I think I know you're talking about as well. I know you're
does
talking
it?
about.
His I think his first name starts with an R and his last name starts with an L. He's from
Yes,
a.
I know you're talking
He
about.
also
Yeah, yeah.
he also. I got on Twitter and I was like, I was kind of trolling him a little bit. He blocked me,
Oh
so
no. Yeah.
which which was not surprising. I was like, I had this perfect quote. I told a group of Facebook. I told this some group of friends in this Facebook chat. I'm like, guys, he blocked me on Twitter. And then I had another Twitter account which I was trolling him on because he posted like these fake footprints too that he was like claiming was real, but it was not.
Oh really?
And so I was trolling him on that, and he blocked me again.
Oh man.
I was like, well, if you can't,
You hit enough.
if you can't beat him, block him.
Yeah, that's it, man. I've got to be honest. When I first saw the Colorado footage, I got very excited. For for a second, I was like, "Man, this is legit?" I really did.
Yeah. And then when you look at it, I'm like, yeah, it's. I think everybody kind of was like, oh man, this is kind of cool. But then it took you a second, like, oh, wait, this is fake, because it was like where the train was when they saw this thing was like literally maybe a couple miles outside of town.
Yeah.
And where the town was, there's like a camping company that has Bigfoot costumes, and it was like a publicity stunt for them. And
yeah.
but
I always think it's dangerous though, man. Like walking around in a Bigfoot costume
yeah,
on your own.
Shot.
It's pretty dangerous.
Shot.
Yeah.
It's because like it's weird to me. Like, for one, it looked like a ghillie suit, and the face looked fake. And I'm thinking like this is not Bigfoot behavior, for one, because any researcher that if from what people know about Bigfoot, they don't really want to be out in the open like that, wide out. There's no coverage anywhere for this thing to just take cover behind. Yeah. It was like in like a rocky grassy hill. That was it.
Yeah.
It's like that doesn't add up.
When the close up picture came out, like where they sort of zoomed in on it, that's when you sort of looked and thought, nah.
That looked like a mask you could buy on Amazon.
Yeah, it did, man.
$20. I don't think the footage is real. I was like, but like it just shows you. But a lot of people want their 10 minutes of fame, so they're gonna fake videos and stuff out there. And a good buddy of mine, Kit Morrill, from the Bluff Creek Project, he was like, if I ever got legit footage, I think is legit footage of a Bigfoot, I will never go to social media to post it or YouTube to post it right away. Do like due diligence and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do research it and stuff like that. And I 100% agree, because there's so much fake things on YouTube. It's just going to be another one of those fake videos.
Yeah.
Where people think they're going to be fake. And so like with my footage, I think at first I maybe released it because I was so excited about it, but then I took it down because I wanted to do more research on it. And it wasn't until like 2022 and this year I really got to do more research with it, take some other people that I trust there, and they're like, yeah, I think this is something on the footage that you got. So,
I think once it's out there, isn't it? As soon as you put it out, people have got it straight away. Even myself, like if I see it, I'll share it again. That Colorado footage, I was straight on it. I was sharing it. I was like, "What? Look at this, guys!" Like, before I really knew anything about it. And I'll admit, I'm guilty of that a lot of the time as well.
Hey, it happens to all of us. I mean,
yeah.
you're not human unless you do something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, especially when you like us and you love Bigfoot. That's exciting, man, to see something like that. But there is 100%. A lot of amazing footage out there, like your friend Stacey Brown's footage. I mean, there's a lot of cool videos out there that I think are legit.
Oh yeah. My buddy Jonathan in Bluff Creek at last camp, he got some weird strange audio captured on his. And it's funny because I saw that video before I ever met Jonathan. I think it was a year before I met Jonathan. I saw that video and I recognized him when I talked to him in the last camp. I was like, dude, oh, you're that guy. Because I saw that video, and I guess that video blew up in like the Bigfoot chats because there's like 40,000 likes or something or shares on it. I was like, I don't know about that. I think the guy's maybe faking it. But when I actually met him in person and he told me kind of what happened, it's like, dude, I think this is legit. And then what we did this, and we could have. I don't think he ever did anything with the footage or anything like that. But to us, we did this recreation where we put his camera in the exact spot where he had it originally. Then him and I went to different spots in Laos camp, and he imitated the call from his video. And we went back to watch the recording, and we listened to each call that he did from different spots. We're like, okay, that was there, and that was here. And the spot that sounded the best was actually behind, or like in front of where the camera was. I'm like, that's weird. But the thing was, when he actually got the audio, he didn't hear it. Nobody in camp heard it. And it wasn't until he was going home and editing, looking at the footage, that he actually heard it. And he was like, holy crap, I got something weird on there.
Yeah. What sort of sound was it? Was it a whoop?
It was it was like this kind of aggressive, like, kind of yell thing.
Interesting.
It was super weird. I'm like, dude, that's some kind of anomaly or something right there, man.
Yeah.
It's some good stuff. That's also in the Bigfoot at Bluff Creek, Small Town Monsters Beyond the Trail episode. So awesome, that's pretty good. And then my very first possible encounter in Bluff Creek, and then Bobo's sighting there. And honestly, if you love Bluff Creek, check that episode out, because that's the episode where we all camped at the Patterson Gimlin film site. That was my first time. That was Jonathan's second time doing that. So it's so much fun just going up there, and the topic of Bigfoot is never boring, and the people you meet sometimes are very interesting people.
Yeah, for sure, man. I could talk about Bigfoot all night. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Same, man. Like I got so many cool stuff that I had just collected over the years. The coolest highlight of my Bigfooting life ever, I'll never forget this. I actually got to be at the film site with Bob Gimlin, the guy.
Oh, wow!
It was so cool, and I was able to get like 6-minute interview with Bob Gimlin in front of like the landmark of the PG film, kind of telling what happened on the film site.
Wow!
And so that's cool, man. I have like a minute and a half that's public, but I saved. The full version is not public anywhere. And I was like, hey, Cliff, I want you can use this unseen full interview with Bob Gimlin at your museum. So Cliff has the full interview.
That's awesome.
North American Bigfoot Center with like the Patterson Gimlin section. I was like, dude, that's so
wow. Cool. That is cool, man. That is cool. That's another place I want to go to as well. I'd love to get there and check that out.
Man, hey, if you hit me up, if you ever want to go to Bluff Creek, we'll do Bluff Creek. Then we'll go up to Cliff's Museum.
Yeah, oh man, there. I would love to do that. Yes,
we'll do a P&W run. We'll get my buddy Jonathan Easley to go with us. He'll be down and stuff.
Oh man, that would be a dream. I would love to do that, man. I was going to show you my little Sasquatch. I know the people that are listening won't be able to see this, but I've got every interview. He sits with me.
That's awesome.
I've called him Wes after Sasquatch Chronicles. So he's there. He's always with me. Yeah. Going back to what we were saying about before about some of the footage and not releasing it. It's something you hear a lot from Bobo and Cliff as well, actually, where they say that they've seen pictures that people haven't released, that they've taken us and they keep, obviously, that they won't release. They don't want it to be released. That are like amazing pictures. I would love to see them, man.
It's kind of heartbreaking because, I think part of it is true. I think a lot of it is the ridicule aspect. People don't want to be ridiculed for having that. And I know Bobo and Cliff have seen some of these photos before, and they're like, "Yeah, this is legit," but they just won't release it. And I think Cliff is right. I think after the after the species has kind of been proven, I think we're gonna get like a influx of legit photos coming out of the woodworks. So I think kind of that'd be kind of cool to see what's kind of been held on to finally released to the public. Um, I remember the first time I met Cliff. Cliff was like telling me, "Yeah, we get stuff all the time that are legit, but we can't release them and stuff."
Yeah.
And so it was like we were leaving. It was like the last day we were all leaving. Cliff was going to show me pictures, but the last day he's like, "Hey, Tate," and he showed me a couple of trail camera photos that he thinks is legit. I'm like, "Dude, these are freaking cool."
Wow.
So I saw a couple.
And they're not out there.
They're not public.
Oh, that's cool,
So
man.
he just showed me on his phone. I was like, "These are pretty cool."
Wow.
I was like, "Dude, but yeah, they're out there, man. There's some legit stuff out there. Like, it's a big, big, big world. I mean, there's probably so much evidence that's just sitting that people don't know what to do with. It's crazy because I think when I was with Alex and Eli, we were in Georgia at the Expedition Bigfoot Museum. And David Becerra is the guy who owns the place. And if you're into Bluff Creek stuff, then you know about Tom Slick, and because he was like the one that did the P&W expedition in Bluff Creek. He had like Bob Titmus, John Green, I think. Who else is there? I think was Renee DeHenden there. I think he was. He had like all these researchers in there, and but he's a very kind of prominent name in the Bluff Creek world, Bigfoot world for sure. But so we were at this museum, and there was like a whole Tom Slick artifacts display. It was like glasses and everything, like a notebook and all that. And I think Eli was like, "Man, these are pretty cool replicas." And David Becerra is like, "No, these are the real thing. These are actually Tom's belongings."
Wow.
His family reached out to me and said, do you want to use these or have these?" So I guess they were just going to throw them away. We're like, "What?" Like, so it just goes to show you, like, sometimes people are just going to throw these things away, take it for granted.
Yeah.
Who knows what like legit tracks are sitting down in somebody's basement, or what footage or videos from an 8mm camera are getting destroyed because they don't know the value of these things. So that could be another thing too. So
Yeah. Yeah.
you just don't know, man.
Interesting stuff, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, man.
Super cool. Like, this is Tom Slick's like glasses and everything. We're just looking at it. It's super cool. It's funny. Another cool thing I got to do original stuff is at the Willow Creek China Flat Museum in Willow Creek. They have the original like Patterson Gimlin tracks there. And so luckily I've been fortunate enough on 2 separate occasions to actually hold the original tracks.
Wow.
And, with my phone, I got to do like 3D scans, like LiDAR scans through my phone. So I took 3D scans of it. Wow. And those are pretty cool.
Yeah,
so
that is cool, man. Wow, not many people can say that.
No, it was like such an honor. It's like I'm holding the original Bob Titmus paddy track, or Roger Patterson paddy track. It's like super cool.
That's
There's
so
sand
cool
in it from the film site and all that. I was like, dude, this is way cool.
man.
Like, as a Bigfooter, doesn't get cooler than that.
Yeah, yeah. So can I ask you your opinion? What you think a Sasquatch is? I know we all don't really know, but what do you think it is?
I think it's like an intelligent ape that has been undiscovered for so long. I think it's just a biological animal. Very smart species of ape that just kind of wants to remain hidden, and there's very few of them. And then the fact that they're intelligent makes it harder to find, because like if you think about people who go lost all the time in the forest or woods, those are people who want to be found, but the forest is just so big that sometimes people just go missing and are never found. And you're talking about an animal who's rare, very intelligent, that wants to remain hid. It's going to be near impossible to find them. And so I think that speaks on their intelligence as a primate. Primates are pretty smart already if you think about it. I mean, chimps can do like puzzles and everything. So like there's a level of intelligence there for something like that to do that. And so I think like a Sasquatch is a lot more intelligent than your average chimp. But I think it's below a human. I think if they're that smart, we'd be in trouble. And so, but no, I just think they're a very intelligent species of ape for sure.
Interesting, man. So you don't think they're as intelligent as us, but you.
I think they have a really heightened level of intelligence for sure. That's far beyond what you see in the animal kingdom.
Yeah.
I would, if I had to compare it, and this is just my opinion, maybe like I would compare the intelligence to a dolphin because dolphins are really smart.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, I think if a Bigfoot was as intelligent as a human, I think they'd be doing a lot more different things than they are doing now.
Yeah.
I mean, they're
Super
obviously
interesting.
doing something right, but yeah, I don't know. I think as intelligent as a human, I think that's a little bit of a stretch in my opinion. But like, you know, like we said before, we don't know what these things are, so we really can't say. At this point, it's just like everybody's opinion on the subject with like a baseline of kind of not set rules, but like set what's the word I'm trying to look for? I guess just like a baseline of what these animals could be and what we know of them already. There's kind of that guideline, if you will.
Yeah.
And so beyond that, I think it's just opinions on what it could be, what it couldn't be, and stuff.
Yeah, man. Well, hopefully, with people like you that are out there in the field, we start getting more answers soon.
Yeah, we try, man. It's when you're carrying a full time job to just to make money enough to go out on a long excursion. It's I don't get out as much as I would like, but it's we get out there as much as we can.
Yeah, man.
At least I do.
Yeah. Good stuff, man. I've got to ask you why I've got you here as well. I'm just going to move away a little bit from the Bigfoot and into the paranormal. Have you had any experiences in the paranormal?
I have not actually. I mean, other than the orb that I saw,
Yeah.
that's probably the possible closest thing I could say. And it was funny. I was literally talking about this on another podcast like last week. It's because like this is really true because I actually am prone to this. I'm prone to sleep paralysis.
Interesting.
And so it's really crazy because the guys I were talking to, like, yeah, the study, the idea of sleep paralysis is it's very new. I think in the past 20 years, I don't think really people knew what it was. But no, sleep paralysis is like a natural thing that has to do with parts of your brain just not connecting right when you're waking up or going to sleep. And so, because my aunt has it, I know other people that have it.
Yeah, I
And
get it. I get it.
Yeah, it's weird. And like when they get it, they don't hallucinate, which, okay. So, in like symptoms of sleep paralysis, when it's happening, is you can't move. You can only look with your eyes pretty much. You get like that heaviness on your chest. And that's like a symptom of sleep paralysis. But sometimes, like with me, I hallucinate with it when I get it. And in a documentary that I did, I interviewed Bobo about it because I did like maybe a 6-minute part in this thing. And I want to do like a full episode for my YouTube series on it. But I did like a 6-minute thing, and then I talked to Bobo about it. I was like, "Do you think like Bigfoot could be misidentified for a possible case of sleep paralysis?" And Bobo was telling me, or like in the interview, he was saying like how like he used to think it was like a demon sitting on his chest and everything because like all that, and he got some like papers from like journal or not journalists but like scholars or whatever who was doing research on it, and it just was like just a common thing called sleep paralysis. But like, no, other than that, I have never had anything paranormal happen.
Interesting though, man. Sleep paralysis is something I've had to deal a lot with. Sleep paralysis. I used to get it really bad, like once a week.
Once a week.
Yeah,
It's
man.
freaky.
Yeah.
It's freaky stuff.
Yeah, it is. And I still don't know I don't know if it's a paranormal thing. A lot of people say it is. A lot of people say it isn't. I don't know. All I know is what I experienced when it happens, and it's as you said, you can't move, you can't see. I can't look around the room, but I always feel like there's something in the room. I mean, I don't know, but is it
It's
paranormal?
definitely it's definitely strange for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
You
So what?
you
What?
know, like, go
Sorry,
ahead,
man.
go ahead.
No, you go, man.
No, it's just like, I think it's something I want to do. I haven't really heard anybody else kind of look into the sleep paralysis, Bigfoot connection. Because like some, symptoms of or causes of sleep paralysis are like irregular sleep, stress, a lot of stress,
Yeah,
alcohol or sugar before bed, and then all those things have to happen right. And then sleeping on your back is the main trigger after all that thing, and you're like laying on your back. That can trigger everything for it. And so I think like a lot of the times, because like if you think about it, I mean, if you're out looking for Bigfoot, you're up, different hours of the night. You're not getting to bed at a regular time.
yeah,
And if you're out, you're probably gonna have beers or soda in camp, drinking and having fun during the day. And then you can get pretty stressed out at night sometimes because you have something happen. It can be stressful, and then so I think all those things can happen in the field to somebody, and maybe they don't know they're prone to a sleep process, and they get it, and maybe they're sleeping, and all of a sudden they see like a shadowy figure or something, some figure walking outside their tent, and they're like, "Oh, I had a Bigfoot encounter, and it zapped me with like um, infrasound. I couldn't move and everything." I was like, or maybe it could be sleep paralysis.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I think the two could be connected. Maybe some of these are not all paranormal
yeah,
encounters. Maybe they're not all actual Bigfoot encounters, but maybe they're misidentification. I think
yeah. It's possible, man.
I think that's a cool aspect to look at the research itself and kind of rule out everything,
Yeah, yeah,
which
for sure.
I really haven't heard anybody doing that. And so I was like, I kind of want to do that.
Yeah, man, it's interesting. What can I ask you? What sort of things you see when you have sleep paralysis?
Man, I can't remember there was one time I remember vividly. This was in, I want to say 2018. I was laying down on my bed, and I had fallen asleep, and my TV, I was watching TV, but I was watching like I had an Apple TV, so the Apple TV turned off. But this particular TV, when it turns off, the screen stays on, and it was like a bright blue screen. And so I, all of a sudden, my eyes open. I couldn't move. It was like kind of hard breathing. I was like, okay, this is weird. Then I see like this silhouette of a kid run from where my door was, and my door was closed, but the door for some reason was open, and this kid ran from near in the hallway through my door over to a dresser that wasn't there by a wall, started reaching into the dresser like this, getting something out of there, and I went to say, "Hey, what are you doing?" I couldn't speak or say anything, and I was like fighting. I was trying my every urge to wake up, and I came to from the sleep paralysis.
Yeah,
It freaked me out. I was like, what just happened?" It feels so weird. It I don't know. It feels like your brain is violated in some way. You don't know who to tell, how to
yeah,
say how it happened. It's just kind of, it makes you really unsure.
yeah, man,
It's a
for sure.
it's a weird
Yeah,
experience.
I never used to talk about it until doing the podcast. I never really like it's something I experienced a lot, and I still get it every now and again. It's not as much as I used to. It's very rare now, but I used to get it, as I said, once a week, and I never just it
Jeez.
became very normal in a weird
Right.
way. But it terrified me every time it happened, and like
Oh,
you're fighting against something. Like it feels like
oh
it's
yeah.
very strange, man.
I've been it's funny. I try not to sleep in my bag because I know I'm prone to it. I don't know when I'm going to get it. I just know I can get it, and so I usually one way from what I read, I think you still can, but it's more extreme. Like it's more rare. Like it's really, really rare if it happens. But if you sleep on your side, you won't get it. So I've been sleeping on my side every night, even when I'm camping or at home.
Yeah,
And I haven't had it happen of doing that. So
yeah,
it's been working
interesting,
for me.
interesting, man. I have to say, it has happened to me sleeping on my side quite a lot as well.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah, man.
Oh man.
I've had it recently. The last time I had it, I suppose you could say I was on my back because I was sitting on the couch, and that's the last time I had it. Sort of, I felt like I was nodding because it's always you're going in for me, going into sleep, like before I fully fall asleep. That's when it happens. I don't know,
Oh wow.
but I feel like I'm not. I don't know if I am asleep or not. It's very weird, man.
It's so weird.
Weird.
For me, it's after I've been asleep already, and I think something just wakes me up, and I just wake up all of a sudden.
Oh, so
I
it's
think
like
that's
mid sleep.
Yeah, for me, it's like mid sleep because I know it does happen for different people. It's like happens when you're going to sleep or when you're waking up,
Yeah,
or like
yeah,
in the middle of your sleep, and it's so weird.
yeah, man.
I don't get it, man.
I get when I get it, I get a vibration before, so I know it's coming.
Oh
It's
no.
really weird. It's like a nice feeling. It's like a vroom, vroom going through me, and then but now when it happens, I know what's coming. But at first, when I used to get it, I was like, it's a nice feeling. It's weird. It's really weird, man. It feels weird talking about it, but it's a weird
it's
thing. I don't know what it
it's
is.
it is very odd. I will say it's not natural.
No, no,
It's
no.
it's like, can I just please enjoy some sleep?
Yeah, just let me go to sleep, man. I've been working all day.
Seriously, seriously, it's like I don't want to be
Interesting.
bothered.
Yeah.
No, no, it's extremely weird, and I think there is some connect. Like, I think there's a connection of misidentification for Bigfoot reports and then sleep paralysis.
Yeah,
So
no, that's an interesting, yeah, man. 'Cause if it
look into
happens,
that more.
you're camping in the forest and it happens, you know, for
I don't
sure.
know. If it happens to me, I'm like, dude, it's sleep paralysis,
Yeah.
dude. It's what it is.
So when are you next out? What's the plans for the future? When you next out?
I think so. As much as I love going to Bluff Creek annually, I am doing a YouTube series for my YouTube channel. I'll talk a little bit about that real quickly. But if I'm doing a YouTube series, I can't go to Bluff Creek every year, and so going out of the country, Canada, next year with some good friends. I don't want to say too much yet until later on, but yeah, we got some big plans for Canada, and then maybe do a little bit of stuff in Wisconsin with my buddy Ron. Might do some stuff in the Ozarks kind of area down in Missouri or Arkansas, and then, just kind of hit these different Midwest spots.
Yeah.
So that I think Canada is the next big one we're doing. So,
Awesome, man.
but yeah, so in my series that I'm doing, it's the original title was A Search for Sabe, and then nobody knew what Sabe meant. So I put Sasquatch, A Search for Sabe. But the Sabe was, I got it from Les Stroud when he was doing Survivor Man Bigfoot, because he mentioned what Sabe was in the Bluff Creek episode he did. And he was saying he was in Manitoba, Canada. And up there, they have what's called the Seven Teachings. And there's different animals like a bear, or fox, or raven, or whatever. And each animal represents a different attribute. Like one animal could represent courage or strength. But Bigfoot, or Sabe, the name for the Bigfoot there, Sabe represents honesty. And so it's like, how cool is that? I could have the name Bigfoot while it represents honesty in the same title of my
Yeah.
series. And so, a lot of my friends who I work with, we were kind of sticklers on the truth and doing things honestly. And so and everything you see in my series is what you get. And I describe my series as like Monster Quest and Survivor Man. It's very, very, very kind of boring. It's like what you see in the field. It's not as exciting as other independent YouTube documentaries out there. But I make what I like. And if people like it, that's just a huge bonus. And what you see is what you get. Nothing is ever faked. And that's why it's boring, because nothing does happen.
Oh, that's cool, though, man.
But yeah, that's for my channel there. And so we're doing that next year. And we got some stuff in the works and some fun stuff I can't wait to film on camera and present it to everybody. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Awesome stuff, man. Well, I'm excited to see it and see what you come up with next. Interesting stuff, man. Tate, I've loved talking to you tonight. It's been absolutely
this is
awesome.
great.
Yeah. Keep doing what you're doing, brother, because we need you. We need you out there. Awesome stuff, man. Can you tell the listeners where they can find you if they want to get in touch with you?
Yeah, you can. So I have a personal Instagram, but the best way to reach me is search for SABE on Instagram, or just or Facebook or YouTube channel, just Tate Hieronymus on Facebook or YouTube. I can spell it for everybody. So it's TateHieronymus. So that's my Facebook and YouTube page.
Awesome, man. And I'll share all the links in the show description so people can find you easily. If you could talk to Cliff and Bobo for me, ask them if they'd jump on the show, just give them a ring.
Yeah, I'll do my best.
We'll get them on the show if we can.
For sure, yeah.
Tate, it's been absolutely awesome, man. Keep doing what you're doing. And yeah, if you get any more evidence, you're welcome to come on this show anytime, man. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. This is fun.
Thank you very much, Tate.
For sure.